Hey, what's up? So today I'm going to do a different type of review. I'm going to do a hardware review. Today I'm going to be reviewing keyboards. So throughout my days as a computer programmer, I've come across a keyboard or two or three, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on what is the best type of keyboard you could be using as a programmer or any type of person who uses a lot of computers or is on the computer a lot throughout the day. So I mean, I don't really live in like a black abyss. Um, I'm not from the upside down, though people may disagree with that. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and just, turn my green screen off. Button. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I started using as a keyboard back in the day. So this was the keyboard I used for the longest time. The Logitech M something K811. Bluetooth, lightweight, carried around. I've gone through a few of these by now. After like a year or two, I get one of the keycaps falling off and just broken. So I mean they're all right. So after dealing with that, I've heard some crazy good things about so-called mechanical keyboards. So this is kind of what I progressed to afterwards. It was kind of just like a bigger version of that with a dedicated numpad. Um, so this was a Corsair um, uh, mechanical keyboard, but even after trying that out, I was like, whatever, it's a keyboard. You know, it presses buttons. What's so special about it? So, anyways, after going with that, I progressed to look at some of the other options out there, and one of the ones that I came across was the concept of a split keyboard. So, what I arrived at next was my current driver, which is the ErgoDox EZ, which you see right here. So it's split, so you can position the halves in any position that you feel most appropriate for yourself. Um, Mine happens to be backlit. It's the ErgoDox EZ is the model that I use. ErgoDox in general is open source. However, the EZ model is made by a specific company that mass produces them. Each of the tent legs are fully adjustable. You just open the screw, tighten it, etc. There were a couple other keyboards that I've tried. This one right here is called the Redox Wireless, made by Falbatech, company over in Poland. It's a good product. I mean, it's quality construction and all, but I found out that after buying it that the wireless encryption isn't fully developed yet. So it's not that it won't someday, but in the current state, I wouldn't recommend buying this. It's slightly smaller in case you have small hands. You might want to consider a wired version of the Redox keyboard. It fits better for small people with smaller hands. See here, I can easily cover the keyboard, whereas with the ErgoDox EZ, it's a little bit tougher. This keyboard is called Redox. It's alright. I just thought my thumbs would get a little bit tired being in such an elevated position like this. So I never went forth and fully assembled mine. Alright, So what's so good about the ErgoDox EZ, or why do I like it? Well, for one, layers. Layers are not unique to the ErgoDox EZ. Any kind of custom keyboard that supports the QMK software will allow you to program layers into your keyboard. However, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, I'm just going to go through some of the basics. So QMK allows you to assign any key, any key code to any of the keys on your board. So you open up the software, you can type in which key code you want to assign to each of these keys. So I use like a default layout for my main letters, but some of the symbols, for example, they just kind of seem randomly placed on a normal keyboard. So I don't use the default like symbols on the numpad or on the number row. Instead, what you do, or what I do, is on this hand, for example, this button enables what's called a layer right here. So you can notice here I have these different keys lit up. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a notepad on my computer so that I can show you what I'm talking about. All right, so here we got a notepad. The text is probably going to be small. I'm not sure if I can zoom on this program. Okay, so when I press that button on this keyboard, I'm enabling the symbol layer for me. And on this hand, what I did was, you know, like, and when you're programming, there's a bunch of like different types of brackets. So on my top row, I have the angle brackets. On the row below that, I have the curly brackets. On the layer below that, I have soft brackets, and then finally square brackets. So this is just going to show that you can kind of place some of these symbols in places that are more logical, more meaningful, or easier to remember. Or you can place the more often used ones kind of in the center of the keyboard where your fingers don't have to reach quite as far. You can use the LEDs on the ErgoDox to help you remember where you place the symbols. For example, that green button over there, that's the dollar sign for me, because I remember green is dollar, money. So you can kind of use the colors to help you remember what the different keys are on your different layers. So that's pretty cool, I thought. So yeah, those are this entire layer is symbols. For example, I have all kinds of commonly used symbols on this layer. Just in general, this button is my enter key. This button is my space key. So it's really convenient, super fast, because I use those two buttons so often. It just made sense to put it right in front of my strongest finger, in the most relaxed position. This button here enables my mouse layer. So I'm gonna do a bird's eye view here, so you can see these 4 buttons control my mouse. So I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it moves to the right, moves to the left, up, down. So I can control my mouse with this movement. And this button to the right to the left of it is left click. So if I hold on left click and move my mouse to the left, you can see it's highlighting this text. I have the right click positioned right below the mouse directions, so I can do all mousing with just one hand without having to move my hand back and forth between a dedicated mouse and the keyboard. So, well, although that's nice, if you're going to be doing a lot of mousing, it is better to use a dedicated mouse. But it is convenient for casual use, just a click here and there, to use the keyboard's built-in mouse control. On that same layer, where I'm controlling the mouse direction on the left hand, this is the 4 directions of scrolling. So if I have a lot of text here, and I'm on the mouse layer, I can scroll. Oops, I scrolled the wrong browser. So I can scroll up and down, left and right, etc. These are mouse speed controls. So if I hold that button, the mouse will move slowly, medium, and fast. Green is fast. Okay. So that's that layer. There are these little LED indicators on the ErgoDox EZ to kind of indicate what layer you're on. However, I do use the actual colors on the keyboard itself to give me a better idea of what the keys are assigned to. However, there are versions of the ErgoDox EZ that don't have backlights on each of the keys, and that's when the layer indicator light is more useful. Okay. What else? So this button here I use to enable my Numpad layer. So as you can see here, it's kind of the shape of a regular number pad, so that I don't have to kind of feel around the top row of my keyboard trying to guess where the numbers are. I kind of always end up missing them if I use the top row. So it works as a typical numpad you would expect. So here should be 0. Move my mouse into the text. So 0. Zoom in on this or not? Nice if there was a faster way to zoom in. Control plus. There we go. Now we're talking. All right. So, oh yeah, the numpad. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the red dot. And I think these are the plus minus divide times. Yep. Cool. So you notice here I have one LED lit up. That's because I'm using my Windows layout. So for my Windows layout, I switched these two keys right here. It's like the Control and Alt. Control is here, Alt is here. Whereas on Macintosh, I have those two key codes switched. The way I toggle that layer is I tap this button right here. So when the light's on, it's in Windows mode. Lights off, it's Macintosh mode. So I think, oh yeah, I'm gonna show you guys what's called hot swap. I'm gonna unplug my keyboard for this purpose. Now, what you see here is kind of like tongs for a keyboard. And what it does is it allows you to remove a keycap. Sometimes you end up pulling out the whole switch like I just did, but it kind of depends on the switch. You can see in there, there's the PCB with the 2 holes for where this key switch fits into. So what you're really supposed to do is, if the see this little tab there, and there's a tab there, you're supposed to kind of grab those, or yeah, sorry, you're supposed to grab the tabs with this end of the device, and you pinch them, and then you can pluck the switch out. However, certain switches just kind of come out with the keycaps. So this is the Gatoron Silent Red, silent, linear, and lightweight. It's my favorite switch overall. However, sometimes on my top layer, or sorry, on my like my number row on the keyboard, I want some kind of feedback to let me know that I'm accidentally or possibly accidentally pressing a button on the top row, because I normally don't. I normally try to avoid that row. So this gives me some kind of feedback, a little bump when you press it, and it feels like bump, bump. So that way I know that just in case if I didn't mean to, I can get a notification that I pressed the top row. So you just push it in there. Sometimes you hear a little click, and then just push the keycap right on, and you're good to go. So that's great because in the long run, sometimes the springs will wear out, or the key will get kind of sticky or kind of stick in. Something will just break in the switch, and then you don't have to replace the whole keyboard. You can just replace that one switch, and then you're good to go. So that's, if you have an option to pay extra for hot swappability, always go for it. It'll save you a lot of hassle in the long run. You don't have to get out the soldering iron and melt out the solder for one of the switches and melt one back in. You just use the tweezers, pluck it out, and put it back in, and you're good to go. All right. So that's that. So now I guess let's take a look at some of the websites out here. Okay. So here is Falbatech that I mentioned earlier. It's where I bought my wireless Redox. He sells a bunch of different types of keyboards. Here's the Redox Wireless. There's also a wired Redox, which I would actually recommend over the Redox Wireless because of the encryption issue with the wireless one right now. He also makes ErgoDox. They're not backlit though, but they are wooden in case you're into that kind of thing. I believe there might be some kind of LED strips on the back of the device, but they're not. Each individual key is not backlit, and programming from this model will probably be a bit more technically involved when compared with the ErgoDox EZ model. This company, ZSA, if I can find ZSA at the bottom, probably. Yeah, ZSA. They're pretty much the current golden standard for the ErgoDox EZ, for the ErgoDox. If you go to their tools and go to Oryx, it allows you to program your board. So what you do is you go ahead and start off with some kind of layout, and then you click on the clone button up here, like that. These are my layers at the top. You can label them however you want. And you can click on any of the keys on each layer and type in whatever you want to assign to that given button on that given layer. So there's a ton of options. You just choose something. When you're ready to go, you just go ahead and click compile this layout. And then you can print out a PDF of the what this each of your keys does. So just while you're trying to learn, or if you can't remember where a certain button is when you're getting started, you have a PDF document you can refer to. So when you're ready to compile this code, you go to download. You got a hex file, and then you open it up in something called Teensy, which is just a microcontroller flashing program. You open that hex file in here, press the green button, and then let me show you on the device. There's a little hole right in there. Right in there. You just put a pin in there, press it, and then you're good to go with the new layout. All right, so that's the ErgoDox and why I find it to be useful. For those of you with wrist or shoulder problems, or have trouble remembering where each of the symbols are on the top layer of your keyboard, I highly recommend you check out getting into split mechanical keyboards. There doesn't really seem to be any split keyboards that aren't mechanical, so you're pretty much limited to mechanical keyboards for this type of deal. And you really want your keyboard to be reprogrammable, because as I hope you gain the idea, it's really convenient for assigning all kinds of key buttons in places that are convenient for how you use your computer. So some people might need certain buttons on a very frequent basis, so it makes sense that they put it right in the middle of where their hands are resting. So yeah, that's my current take on keyboards right now. I am interested in checking out, there's something also called Redox Manuform. Oh, sorry, no, not Redox. Dactyl Manuform, which is kind of like the Redox, except the thumb cluster curves downwards along here. So it's kind of, in the Redox it curves upwards like this, but on the Manuform it curves like downwards. So I feel like that might be a more comfortable position for my hand. There's a user on Reddit called Crystal Hand, and they're working with Oh Keycaps to start manufacturing those for sale. They're going to be a bit expensive, but if you're interested, that I'll probably put the link in the description. It might be cool to check out, or even just get a case for it, just to see if the layout would be something I'd be interested in, or something you'd be interested in. Other than that, I'm currently going to stick with my ErgoDox EZ as my daily driver. So yeah, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up so other people can find it a bit easier. And if you're into JavaScript, I typically just make JavaScript videos, so if you're into JavaScript or Angular, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. See you guys later.